Welcome to SJS Arts. So today I'm gonna do this 2023 wrap-up video where I'm gonna go through all the films and TV shows that I watched in 2023, and I'm gonna plow through them fairly quickly because I've talked about all the films that I love the most this year or last year in other videos and podcasts, so I don't feel like I need to praise them again and again and again, although I will give some special shout-outs to certain films in this video and certain TV shows in this video. But before I get to that, I want to talk about my previous video, the New Year's resolutions video, a little bit. Although I'll have timestamps, so if you aren't interested in this, you can skip right into the meat of the video. But yeah, so I just want to thank you for all the encouraging comments that you people left when I talked about my depression. So again, thank you to Chris, to Nazarene, to Neil, to Nerdlist, to Sinar Therapy, and to Tony for those great comments. And I also got some private comments as well that really helped me. Again, I was emailing with Altes, and it was really therapeutic for me because I wrote this kind of essay length email to Altes going through my kind of life story and my story with depression, and writing it all down really helped me. And it's kind of interesting to write something like that down, and then when you proofread the email and you can kind of take yourself out of it in a way and be like a quote unquote objective observer or something, and realize that, oh fuck, that life sounds so awful, even like as an kind of object, quote unquote objective observer or whatever. So that was very interesting but therapeutic to me. And then we also sent other emails to each other, and I'm gonna talk to Altes on Saturday, like again on StreamYard. Although we aren't gonna record that, so don't expect a podcast of that. But we will just have fun and interesting discussions on Saturday. Yeah, and also Peaches or Tony reached out to me by email yesterday uh, to again talk about that when we are gonna have our discussion, and we ended up having the discussion after those emails last night, and we talked for 9.5 hours straight, which is absolutely crazy. Although that was again a private chat, so it won't be uploaded to YouTube, and I didn't even record it, so it couldn't even be uploaded to YouTube, even if I wanted to. But that discussion helped me so much. Like now, again, I went from depression to feeling like I'm kind of manic because it was such a kind of high, felt like a truck to talk to him for such a long time. And again, we are such similar people in so many ways with similar struggles and similar opinions and values and personalities in many ways. So it felt just so therapeutic. And of course, me and him, we have been commenting a lot on YouTube for the past year, and I've got to know him through that. But obviously, you cannot know from that what the chemistry will be like when you are actually talking to each other. But fortunately, we kind of found great chemistry pretty much instantly, and the 10 hours, almost 10 hours, just flew by, and we had just such a great time that I've still been smiling and laughing after it so much because it was such a nice thing to do. Again, I won't go into the things that we talked about that much because lots of it is very private and the type of stuff that I never would talk about to most people. And I said many things to him that I had only told one person before him, so that's pretty crazy because this was again the first time I talked to Beaches like this, so it was pretty crazy that I could be so honest after or just during the first talk time we ever talked, and we are already planning to hopefully like do other similar chats. So yeah, we are gonna set that stuff up soon. So yeah, but that was such an insanely kind of beautiful and great experience. And I think maybe people cannot relate to this that such a that just a conversation can be such a pleasant experience. But again, when you have again decades and years um, of like loneliness and toxic relationships and mental abuse, then like a conversation with a sensitive and intelligent and nice person actually feels like such a big event or that to me because I've again had so many awful relationships. So to me, thing like this means absolutely everything. So yeah, it was such a beautiful and fun talk. It's very rare for me to laugh that much and smile that much. And and again, the smiling came from kind of different types of things. Again, that I don't necessarily get to smile and laugh about with most people, but it was such a beautiful conversation, and I can't wait to talk more to Beaches and yeah, yeah, it was just great. And one more thing, again, it was nice to hear him talk in French also because if you know our comments in the comment section, we flirt in French, but it was so hot, hot and beautiful to hear it like in the microphone and stuff. Like, yeah, it was so much fun, and yeah, I'm just kind of laughing just thinking about it, and I couldn't sleep that much after it because again I had to go to bed in the morning, and as I have anxiety and stuff, I cannot just reset immediately after a conversation like that because I have that kind of thing that I have to analyze every conversation and thing I do in my life. Although with this, I didn't necessarily do much analyzing. It was just that I just kept thinking about the things that we were talking about, and it was beautiful and fun, and I feel so good right now. And it feels so weird that like in such a brief period of time, I went from like really intense depression where I wasn't excited about anything to feeling like really good again. Although again, obviously these types of things don't permanently heal depression or anything because I've noticed many times during the last year or so that I have had certain positive things happen, but then you have that kind of high for a while, but then it comes kind of crashing down at some point, especially if you don't have more of those kind of nice experiences in a way. So yeah, but I'm so happy about this conversation, and it was so great and beautiful. So now I'm gonna go through my letterboxed diary. So I started the year with my favorite cheesy action movie of all time, Roadhouse. So I watched this like in the like not Christmas but New Year's Eve night, but it was already past midnight, so it was on January. But yeah, I would highly recommend that film to everybody, and I recommended that to Beaches as well during our long talk last night. Yeah. Um, oh, and I think he also mentioned Twin Peaks Firewalk with me, that he would have had the chance to see it in the cinema or something like that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, Twin Peaks Firewalk with me. This one actually was with a friend. And I actually had watched it like in the previous December as well. So it is a film that I can watch all the time, even though it also causes lots of like negative mental things in me, like again depression and anxiety and fear and things like that because it's such a disturbing movie. But it was great to watch it with a friend, even though the friend didn't end up liking it that much. But what can you do? Then I watched Hollywood Shuffle, which was fine. Didn't like it that much. Well, I think I watched Daisuke's like favorite Criterion releases of the year, and I believe Hollywood Shuffle was either the number two or not even number one on his like overall list. So again, so Daisuke really loves it. So again, the fact that I don't like it that much doesn't mean that you shouldn't love it. Yeah. Island of Lost Souls, Dating Amber, which was like a really nice queer coming of age film. This would actually be a nice double bill with the Netflix show Heartstopper that I talked about recently. A show with Love Simon B, by the way. Then Bicycle Thieves, I also watched that with the same friend I watched Fire Walk with me with, but he loved Bicycle Thieves, and this was my third time watching it, and I still loved it too. But you can see that there are these like longer gaps here, like again in the beginning of the year, and then even in the kind of midpoint of the year, or not year but month. Yeah. Then I watched this Czech New Wave Beauty and the Beast version. Yeah. Then I watched Love Simon, which was kind of the film that caused lots of the positive things in my otherwise awful year. So again, it made me come out to my friend, and then later on the year I started coming out to other people, and now I'm kind of, and even my mother, and now I'm kind of in the place that coming out feels kind of easy. I'm maybe not easy, but kind of easy, especially compared to what it used to be. So I have to thank this Candy Floss Hollywood film for that, which is interesting. And actually, the day I watched Stalker was the day that I did come out to my friends. So yeah, that's nice. And then yeah, after that intense, emotionally intense experience, we watched Tarkovsky's Stalker, which is just one of the greatest films of all time and one of my personal favorites as well. And it's a film I also would probably have in my Sight and Sound top 10 ballot if I were to ask to do one. Then I watched the Abhijapong Veeratsakul film Syndromes and a Century. Then I watched Orlando, which we actually talked about with Beaches in our conversation because he wants to read Virginia Woolf's Orlando, but he hasn't seen the film yet either. So yeah, but I need to read the book as well. Then I watched The Watermelon Woman, which is a great lesbian film. Yeah, it's very interesting to watch these types of films that where you have like people from like who belong to like different minorities at the same time. So it's again about like black lesbian woman. So it's very interesting in that way, and I really enjoy this film. It's really funny and clever and interesting aesthetically and structurally, and yeah, yeah, it's really good film, and I'm definitely gonna watch it again at some point. Then I watched Celine Sciamma's Petite Maman, which was kind of another disappointing Celine Sciamma film for me, because I see often that people absolutely love her work, but to me it's just kind of pretty good, but I don't see the brilliance there or the uniqueness there or anything like that. But she's still like a good director, but I just don't buy into the hype. Um, but then I watched Morven Color, the Lynn Ramsey film, which was quite good. Then I watched Alain René film, My American Angle. I know Solitary Ronin is like absolutely huge fan of this film, but to me it wasn't one of René's best films. But this is definitely a film that again deserves to be rewatched many times as any René film does. So I might like it more in the future, and I already like it a lot. Then this I actually talked about with Beaches. I mean, he hasn't seen it, but I recommended it to him. It's this Spanish gay film called End of the Century. That's quite good. It feels like kind of similar to Andrew Hayes' Weekend, which we also talked about, but not quite as good. But in some ways, it's like very interesting as well and well acted, and I like the relationship that it explores and stuff. So yeah, good film. Then I rewatched Godard's A Woman is a Woman, which is one of my favorite Godards, and I think a good kind of entry point to Godard as yeah, as it is so charming and funny. But it also has that experimental stuff there, but not like too much of that, because it focuses more on kind of love and gender dynamics and things like that that people can relate to more than they can relate to like Maoist political philosophy or whatever. Yeah. Daughter of the Nile. This is a Hao Xiaoshen film that I was sitting on my shelf for quite a while before I watched it, but then I watched it and liked it quite a lot, even though I think Hao Xiaoshen has many better films. Then I watched a couple of um, Jacques Demy films, Lola and Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Both are big favorites of mine, especially Cherbourg. And we also talked about Jacques Demy with Beaches last night, as we are both huge fans of him. Yeah, that was fun to talk about. Yeah. Then I was this Hungarian film that's released by Second Run called Love or Shrelem. Yeah, it was really good movie. Then I watched this couple of Bergman films, Crisis and Music in Darkness. His early stuff that isn't as good as the great stuff, but this was still like surprisingly like pretty good stuff. Then I rewatched Werkmeister Harmonies and it absolutely blew me away on a rewatch, and now it's one of my absolute favorite movies of all time and one of the densest and most difficult films also I've ever seen, but in such an interesting way and in such a philosophical way. Shanghai Express was one that I was kind of disappointed by. I just found the filmmaking bit pedestrian, although it's kind of hurts to say that when you consider that it's made by one of the filmmakers that is often considered to be one of the greatest of all time again, Joseph von Sternberg, but it just didn't do it for me because it's starring Marlena Dietrich. It kind of reminds me of again. I've been reading up about the kind of Berlin like queer scene, and again I think Marlene Dietrich again took part in that back in the day. Obviously before that Nazis fucked that up and stuff, but yeah, interesting stuff. Then again, my favorite rewatch of the year probably. I mean, I guess Twin Peaks Firewalk is me obviously is the favorite one, but if you count out that, Chance of the Bailiff, it just absolutely blew me away when I rewatched it now that I was way more mature and I knew I had more kind of a deeper thinking behind me as I've grown older. So it just now really clicked with me, and now I think this is also like Sight and Sound top 10 ballot worthy of a film. And I did the favorite films ranking recently, and I think I had it in my top 10, top 20. So yeah, such a great movie. Then Bresson's Pickpocket was another great rewatch, as I had not liked the film as much before this rewatch as it was the first Bresson film I ever watched. But now that I'm a huge Bresson fan, I could appreciate one of his most famous films more than I used to. Throne of Blood was another great rewatch. Okay, it probably actually deserves like a 5-star rating, but we'll see in the future. Miss OU is a great, maybe slightly underrated Misoguchi film, one of his best. Same with Woman of the Night, I think. Viata was a really interesting Kim Ki-duk film, not quite as good as Three Iron or Spring, etc. But really good, really good. Wild Strawberries, again, another great rewatch. It really became a favorite after this rewatch. Then I rewatched The Sword of Doom, which is a film I could rewatch like every week because it just has everything I love about Japanese cinema, basically. Yeah. Belle Jour, I rewatched. Still not one of my favorite Buñuels, but I liked it more on a rewatch. Euro 51 was one of the best watches of the year. Blaise Pascal, another Rossellini film, was a great watch as well. Yeah, Mysterious Skin, one of my favorite watches of the year. Totally Fucked Up is also by Greg Araki, just like Mysterious Skin, and another very interesting film. Then Comrades, almost a love story, very good love story actually, very good drama. I know some people have some problems with it, or quite a lot of people, even though it's generally a fairly highly rated movie. But I thought that it was almost a perfect movie. Yeah, even though maybe there are some weird choices in the story near the end and stuff, but I liked it overall a lot. Black Christmas obviously is a pretty famous and influential movie in the horror genre, but I found it like quite boring. Although I still gave it like 3 stars and a heart because I thought that it was overall like a still like a pretty well made movie, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. And Titan kind of feels like a bit of that kind of Cronenberg stuff, but bit different and lots of things that I liked about Titan, but it's not necessarily my type of cinema, I guess. Yeah. Although I feel like that Titan and also Julia Ducournau's other film Raw are the type of films that with some little tweaks they could become like favorites or near favorites, but I think that again thing with films like this is that I would love to have them even more kind of ambiguous and weird than they are. So that's usually something that pulls them down a bit. And it's actually same with Cronenberg, which I know might be blasphemy for some people. I like Cronenberg a lot, but I kind of want the films to be even weirder. Or weirder in maybe the structure or the themes because some of the films are quite obvious in a way. So I kind of would love to have that kind of Twin Peaks level of weirdness kind of mixed with this type of kind of gorier and body horror stuff. I think that kind of stuff I would probably love a lot. Yeah. And I think films like Possession kind of do that. So yeah. Workman Island was pretty good. Insiang was really good. Okay, Lino Brocca. Yeah, we mentioned him in the chat last night as well. As we did the next film, Everything Everywhere at All at Once. To be honest, if I only rated movies based on my own enjoyment, I would have given this like half a star. I fucking hated that experience. It just almost killed me because I really didn't like it. But I had to give it like 2.5 stars as it was had some like decent editing and decent camera work and some decent performances and stuff. Again, I rate films. I have all these kind of different parameters and kind of things that I consider when I give a star rating to film. I don't only consider the fact that whether I hated something or liked something. So that's why I kind of gave it like a 2.5 star rating, even though I kind of hated that film in a way. But yeah, then Voices Through Time was a great Franco Piavoli film, really beautiful. Yeah. But then next page, let's go to the beginning of the bottom section here. Farewell Amor, Criterion film. Enjoyed that quite a bit, but it was missing something. I don't know what. Then another Criterion film. This is not a burial, it's a resurrection. This is a film that again I liked quite a lot, and I've given it a shout out. I remember in some previous videos. Yeah, this is a one that kind of a slow cinema film. I think if you are into slow cinema, you'd probably find this film really interesting. Then After Sun is a film that people hype up a lot, but to me it was just like pretty cute indie film and nothing more, nothing less. But yeah, I don't kind of get the 5 star ratings, the constant 5 star ratings that it has gotten. But I still like the movie. Trouble Every Day. Claire Denis is a director I kind of have some struggles with, aside from Boot Hawaii. And it was the same with this film that I found it to be like pretty good, interesting cinematography, interesting scenes, but somehow the overall product just leaves me kind of cold. Then I watched these two Pedro Costa films, Vitalina Varela and Horse Money. Absolutely adored both of them. They're very similar films. Then I watched Zombie Sanga. Beaches also watched this very recently and wrote a great review for it. And I know he liked it more than me, but I also liked it quite a lot. But it was to me one of those films that was like politically and thematically very interesting, but it lacked in the aesthetics a bit, maybe. Yeah, so that's kind of my main criticism for it. But overall, it's a really, really good film, and it might go up on my estimation in a rewatch. And I actually adore this poster. I would put that really homoerotic poster on my wall if I could get my hands to it. Then I watched Koreeda's I Wish, which was beautiful. Koreeda film, one of his best films, I would say. Yeah, and it's also again about children. And Koreeda is one of those directors who really knows how to work with children. Uski Roti is this kind of Presonian Indian film by Mani Kaul. Absolutely incredible film. Very bleak, very minimalist, but kind of darkly beautiful at the same time. Then I was this Stroop and Huli film Sicily. But I've now watched a couple of Stroop and Huli films and they've kind of left me, I mean, kind of cold, even though I've given them like fairly high ratings because the filmmaking is very interesting, but I'm not sure whether they will ever become like favorite directors for me because there's just something about it that isn't quite my aesthetic, but I'm not sure yet because I again they made quite a lot of films and I need to watch more of them. Then I rewatched Like Father Like Son, another Koreeda film, and it was just so perfect. One of my absolute favorites from the 2010s. Then I watched this Lucretia Martel film called The Headless Woman, and Lucretia Martel is someone I know that critics and many cinephiles really love her work, but I haven't been able to get into it after I watched a couple of her films. So, but yeah, maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. Then I rewatched Yuketsu and What a Masterpiece. I already liked it a lot before this rewatch, but this rewatch made me love it even more. Then I was Chiming Liang's latest feature-length film Days, which was really good. Not one of my favorites by him, but this has definitely one of my favorite Chiming Liang scenes of all time when there's this kind of gay massage scene there that goes on and on. Like I absolutely love that. I actually mentioned that the beaches last night as well, but yeah. Tokyo Twilight, Osu's bleakest film probably. Again, another masterpiece. Absolutely adored it. A River called Tita. I think I didn't talk about this on my channel this year. I might be wrong, but it was such a beautiful film and again, pretty much a perfect film. Even though it has kind of weird structure and stuff, but it's just an aesthetic marvel. It's just so beautiful, like. And I think this is one of the also like Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Foundation films. So have to thank Scorsese for putting effort into restoring that film. L'Argent, Bresson's final film, really good and improved on a rewatch, but it's still not quite one of my favorites by him. Early Spring was a great Ozu film. The Joy of Learning. Oh yeah, these next films I was actually sick when I was watching them. Like I had like really awful fever and I was kind of falling asleep like all the time and I was sleeping like 14, 15 hours a day. So it's not really a mindset towards like les gars savoir by Jean-Luc Godard. Yeah, because this is one of his pretty crazy political films. But I still enjoyed it even though I was really fucked up with the fever and stuff. Then I rewatched American Beauty, which used to be one of my favorites when I was younger, but now that I watched it when I'm way older and when I have way more cinema experience, I didn't love it the same way I used to, but I actually still like the film, and I think it's you can obviously look at Kevin Spacey very differently now than you used to before we learned more about him, but yeah, it's still like a good film overall, I think, but it's not like a masterpiece, even though I used to think it was, but and Bringing Up Baby and Harvey actually used to be all-time favorites for me, but they aren't anymore after the rewatches. I still like them, enjoyed them, but again, there's just not much more like beyond that humor in these films that they just lack that kind of, I don't know, aesthetic and intellectual depth to them, but they're like really fun kind of Saturday afternoon movies, but to me that they just aren't much more than that anymore. But still, I really liked watching them when I was sick. Yeah, they were really perfect for that. The Man from Nowhere is kind of a cliche action film, but it has so much heart to it, so I cannot help but love it. So it's one of my favorite action films of all time. Then I was The Red and the White, which is this like perfect Miklos Janso war film, really good. Then I was the Buddhist trilogy, This Transient Life, Mandala, and Poem. And the first two are like utter masterpieces to me, some of the best films ever, and one of my some of my just absolute favorites. And then the third one, Poem, is still like a really great film, but I like it a bit less because it's a bit less insane. Yeah. Then I rewatched Antonioni's Red Desert, which is kind of like the fourth part of the Alienation quadrilogy, you could say, but absolutely adored it. It went up on my estimation on a rewatch. Eternity and a Day, Theo Angelopoulos film, absolutely perfect film. It was great to rewatch it. Fear of Fear is a kind of underrated or maybe underseen Fassbinder film, but which was pretty good. Pastoral to Die in the Country, perfect. Terayama film, it was great to rewatch it. Same with The Exterminating Angel, which is my favorite Buñuel film at the moment and really improved for me on a rewatch. Then this is a really underrated Fassbinder film, Mother Gusters Goes to Heaven. I really enjoyed that one. It's really close to becoming an all-time favorite. Farewell to the Ark, Chastity Bells, and Cousins in Love. That's how I describe that movie. It's one of my favorites. The End of Summer, kind of underrated Ozu film. Absolutely adored it. Black Narcissus was so much fun to watch that again. Such a beautiful movie. The Big Sleep was one of another favorite of mine that went down in my estimation after this rewatch, but I still think it's good, but just not the all-time favorite anymore. Then something possessed me to rewatch Pokemon Mewtwo Returns, as I absolutely loved this film as a kid, but it wasn't very good anymore, but nostalgic. Then I watched Godard's Contempt again, Le Mépris, and what a beautiful, perfect movie. one of his most emotional movies. Then I watched Dragon Ball Super Broly, Dragon Ball Super Hero, and I also, by the way, rewatched Dragon Ball Super, so I can like put this tab down now as well. But yeah, it was fun to watch those again. Again, Dragon Ball Super Broly, I think is the best Dragon Ball movie ever made. I've watched that so many times already. Yeah. Creepy by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, really good movie, really creepy movie. Love Letter by Junji Iwai, such a beautiful, kind of nostalgic, melancholic, but kind of cheesy, sentimental films, but in a good way. Crimes of the Future, again, if Nazarene and Zoidberg Ronin are watching this, I'm sorry, but it really didn't do anything for me. It just felt like some like 16-year-old Cronenberg fanboy doing a parody of Cronenberg films. It felt like that to me, and I also mentioned already that again, films like this, I want more ambiguity in them. But in this film, like the characters tell all their intentions and all the themes of the film through the exposition, through the dialogue, and that was one of the things that I absolutely hated in that film. And to me, it was just like how the characters talked and everything. It was just so laughable in a bad way. But obviously, aesthetically, it was like fine, even though it kind of looks like an average Netflix movie, how it's shot. But again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I might be wrong about this film, but that's just how it felt like to me. But I like many of Cronenberg's older films, like Brood and Crash and Death Ringers and The Fly and many others as well. So yeah. Boys in the Hood, I finally watched that. I have never seen it and I liked it a lot. Really powerful film, really sad film. But yeah, great movie. Then went back to the cinemas after a 3-year break to watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny with a friend of mine. And yeah, it was a pretty awful movie or mediocre movie, but we had a great time still, even like after it, like talking shit about it and before it, talking about stuff. But yeah, although I kind of remember this day because okay, I was actually really depressed after I got back home because I found out something that really made me depressed. Again, I'm not gonna go into what I kind of found out, but it just was kind of something that I was already really depressed about, but there was something that made me even more depressed about a certain thing. But again, I can't really talk about it. But so I kind of every time I think about this movie, I start thinking about that depressing stuff. But then I rewatched But I'm a Cheerleader, and this was kind of start of me getting back into cinema after this summer of depression. So yeah, yeah, I love that film, and obviously I rewatched it on Christmas Eve again. So I watched it. It was the only movie in 2023 that I watched twice. Yeah. Then I watched Anti-Porno by Sion Sono. Again, rewatched it, and such a great movie. Blue Velvet, I rewatched it. This was my 10th time watching it, and yeah, Mysteries of Love. Yeah, become clear. Yeah. Carriage to Vienna, beautiful, dark film. The Blue Sky Maiden is a great Masumura film. I really liked it. Kind of very Douglas Sirk-esque. Giants and Toys is another Masumura film. I like that a bit less. Tale of Winter, one of the best watches of the year. And again, Beaches, absolutely adores that film too. And we talked about that. Oh, like I'm thinking about like one joke that he made about the Tale of Winter, which was kind of relating to one story that I told him, which was relating to a kind of experience in the snow in certain January when I was a teenager. But I can't really talk about that experience on YouTube. But yeah, it was fun joke. Yeah, like made me laugh. Um, it's lost chapter of Snow, Passion. No, well, that kind of a title of the film, at least as it has passion, kind of relates to that experience I had, I guess. And so does the next film called Hush, which is a gay Japanese film. So now that I also mentioned all of that, you can kind of maybe um, put the two and two together, or what I was talking about. You actually mentioned like this director to VHS last night, but yeah. Then Still Life, Shia Shanke movie, good stuff. All or Nothing, a great Mike Lee film. Wall Engravings or Open Coupe by Guy Gills. Yeah, beautiful movie. Also, Peach has watched it due to my recommendation and ended up liking it a lot. Sorry, I'm just like starting to laugh. Although it's nice to laugh rather than be depressed. But Keikumais, The Long Darkness was absolutely incredible film, and I think it's gonna be a favorite after a rewatch. Then I popped my Hamaguchi cherry by watching Asako 1 and 2, and a great movie, although I like the other Hamaguchi films I watched more. Lan Yu was a like really beautiful stylistic Stanley Kwan film, gay film, and Stanley Kwan was a, or Issei. I'm not actually sure whether he's still alive. I'm sorry about that, by the way. I should know. But he was the mentor of Wong Kar-wai. Yeah. Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees, great movie. Himiko, really beautiful Japanese new wave film by Masahiro Shinoda. Utamaro and his wife woman was an interesting Mizoguchi film. A Legend, or was it? Interesting Kinoshita film. Socrates, I Know Nothing, great Rossellini film. The Intruder, kind of sight and sound top 250. Claire Denis film, didn't really get the hype for that one fully, but it was still pretty good. Tale of Springtime, my least favorite out of the Rome 4 seasons, but almost perfect still. The Hawks and the Sparrows was a Pasolini film I couldn't really get into fully, although it was interesting. Death of a Cyclist was interesting. In Vanda's Room was really disturbing. Renoir's Tony, yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. Taking of Power by Louis XIV or Louis XIV actually relates to Tony as Tony recommended this film to me, and I really liked it a lot. The Married Woman, another Tony recommendation. Yeah, I love that film. One of the highlights of the year. Innocence Unprotected, not one of the highlights, but still interesting. A Hen in the Wind, interesting Ozu film. Osaka Elegy, good Misoguchi film, but not one of his best. Picnic, one of the best watches of the year by Shunji Iwai. Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah, it's also one of the best watches of the year. Under the Roofs of Paris, Paris. Uh, yeah, it was okay, not really my cup of tea, but still pretty good. Pink Narcissus, more my cup of tea actually. Yeah, fuck, like half of these movies like remind me of the conversation with Peaches last night, so that's why I'm laughing so much. But Blank Narcissus, Passion of the Swamp, interesting kind of gay short film that I watched on Mubi, quite graphic. Chan is Missing was film that I couldn't get into really, but it was pretty good. Happy Together, absolutely adored this on the rewatch. Definitely my favorite Wong Kar-wai film. Antoine and Colette, the second part of the Antoine Donnell series. Again, that starts with 400 blows, and this was pretty good. Colossal Youth is a masterpiece. All Seasons, All Castles, again, a short film, really good short film. Another Woman is another Beaches recommendation, a Woody Allen film starring Gina Rowlands. Really enjoyed that one. Ninja Scroll was a fun anime film, although the copy that I had only had the English dub, and I kind of hated the English dub. So that kind of ruined it for me. I really wanted to watch it in the Japanese original because I prefer to watch anime in Japanese, although there are, of course, there's like exceptions like here and there, but this definitely wasn't an exception. Diary of a Pregnant Woman, another Agnes Varda short film, really good. Pink Flamingo was a crazy experience. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, I think one of the best Studio Ghibli films. Love that. This was recommended to me by one of my German viewers who always leaves great comments. So thank you. House Moving Castle, really good film. Jumper by Doug Liman, a childhood nostalgia for me. Ritual, Hideaki Anno film, really beautiful. Tale of Satuichi continues. So this is the second Satuichi film, really good. Café Lumière and Hao Xiao Shen film, really good. The Children's Hour, I had some problems with it, but interesting and good. Tokyo Godfather is my favorite Satoshi Kon film, really love that. Good Morning, a Satoshi Kon. Short film, really interesting. Tsukamoto's Killing was good, very low budget. Obviously, I mean, all of his films are, but you can really see it in that film, but it's still really good. Paprika, really beautiful, interesting Satoshi Kon film. Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion, but I also watched the series before this, and I loved both the series and this film. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Again, it was such a dense experience as I watched it for the first time, so I really need to watch it more times to really kind of grasp the themes better. This was an interesting animated film, but I didn't really like it aesthetically. It's called Night is Short, Volcom Girl. It has a very unique aesthetic, but not my type of aesthetic. This is one of the best Imamura films I've ever seen. The Insect Woman, quite a very brutal film. Has that kind of very early Japanese new wave style, but really, really beautiful and dark. And another Imamura film, Profound Desires of the Gods, really colorful and beautiful. The Wayward Cloud, one of my highlights of the year. Blind Beast was really fucked up film, but in a good way by Masumura. Ghost Story, I know many people absolutely adore this film, but to me it felt like pseudo art house. Yeah, so I didn't really like it. Then right now, Wrong Time by Hong Sang-soo was really good. Chichuko's younger sister, one of the most beautiful films I watched all year. Beauty Wonder by Terrence Malick, I really enjoyed it. And I had lots of like preconceptions about some of these later Malick films, but I ended up liking them more than I thought I would. His Motorbike, Her Island, one of the highlights of the year. Night of Cups, good. The Novelist film was really interesting. Oh, Fantasma is this Portuguese gay film. I liked it, even though it maybe has certain cliches, but I liked it a lot. Mr. Klein or Monsieur Klein, really good. Alain Delon is so good in it. Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, I really enjoyed much of that. Miami Vice, again, I really don't know what to think of that because there were certain elements that I really liked, but then some of it just not my cup of tea, so I don't really know what to think of this film yet. The French Dispatch, I think, is one of Wes Anderson's best and perhaps his most beautiful looking film. The New World was a really great Terrence Malick film. I finally watched it. Song to Song might be my least favorite Malick film, but I still found a lot there to be enjoyed, like the cinematography. But my dislike for it came from the characters. Isle of Dogs was pretty good. No End was quite good. Fallen Leaves, really good. I saw this in the cinema. Sorry to Bother You was pretty funny and weird, but good. Although it's not as weird as people think, that it's not like weird compared to Yoshida or Terayama, but it was kind of weird compared to like a Marvel movie. The Haunted Castle, my least favorite Murnau film, but still pretty interesting in some ways. Wendy and Lucy I liked. Scar I liked. Hanakatami was perfect. Silence was really good, and I know Peaches really loves the novel by Shusaku Endo. So I'm really excited to read that as Peaches really knows his literature. Yeah, je t'aime. The River Fuefuki was really beautiful and interesting. Ahsoka actually really kind of blew me away in a way that it was really nice to watch like a new Star Wars thing that was really good actually. So yeah, Doing the Shadow, great Naruse film, Adoption, interesting film. I rewatched Theorem. I liked it kind of quite a lot. Like I also liked it a lot in my first watch, but it's not quite a favorite yet. A Ball was a very interesting film starring Fassbinder. Summer's Tale, other masterpiece. Rouge was good. Pickpocket was good. Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy. Talked about that last night. It's really good. Black Panthers, interesting. Tale of Autumn, masterpiece. Ballad of Orin, masterpiece. The Blue Kaftan, an interesting Moroccan gay film. And it relates to last night's conversations as well. Losing Ground, good, very good. This had like interesting intellectual discussions and stuff. I really enjoyed that one. The Funeral was kind of a disappointment. I was really looking forward to this Yucho Itami film, but I was disappointed by it. Drive My Car, perfect. Journey to the Shore, good. Bones and All, like pretty good, but again, I don't really get the hype. Then Percival was a Romea film that it's very different from his usual stuff, but it was good, but not one of his best. Oki's movie, perfect. Hana and Alice, pretty much perfect. Kamikaze Girls, Tale of Cinema, Confessions. This has like great soundtrack with Radiohead. A Silent Voice absolutely crushed me. And I was actually thinking that already of rewatching it, but I really don't want to rewatch that like when I'm depressed. So yeah, although now I really don't feel like depressed anymore, but okay, it's due to the high of that conversation. But yeah, when Marnie was there, beautiful Vampire Hunter, deep bloodlust, the fun, an action horror anime. Whisper of the Heart, I thought it was beautiful. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is almost like a perfect animated film, but it has like 1 2 minute problematic scene that takes it down a little bit. But the other than that, it's such a great movie. Lisa and the Bluebird is a great queer anime film by the same director as A Silent Voice, so beautiful and minimalistic. Wolf Children, another beautiful animated film. Ponyo, good Studio Ghibli film, but not one of my favorites. Memories of Matsuko was beautiful, like aesthetically. It's by the same director as Kamikaze Girls and Confessions. But beyond that aesthetic, there were certain things that I couldn't relate to in the film, but I need to rewatch it. My Neighbor Totoro made me cry like a baby. Donkey Skin, absolutely adore that film. Blue Period, this was like one of the biggest highlights of the year. That I'm reading manga, I really need to read the manga for this, as the story goes well beyond this one season. So, Funeral Parade of Roses, what a highlight! Such a great movie. Talked about it with Chris Mohan and Ronin in that great podcast that we had. Taboo, another great Japanese queer film. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Um, was a bit disappointing. Was still quite good. And then Queer Hell. Yeah, it's such a beautiful gay fantasy film. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. Covenant, fun. Red Angel, absolutely perfect. Full Moon in Paris. Uh, Pascal Augier is absolutely stunning and great in that film, and what a film, and very relatable in many ways. Like I talked with Beaches as well last night. Yeah. Scum, pretty disturbing movie, but really good. The Beast, yeah, funny in a fucked up way. Man Bites Dog is good. Of an Age, really beautiful queer film. See You Soon, another beautiful queer film. Dear X, The Green Ray, masterpiece. The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Bad Boys, a true story. Sasaki and Miyano, such a wholesome and cute gay love story. The Red Turtle, The Stranger by the Shore. Matthew Bourne's choreographed version of The Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky. Yeah, Lady and the Tramp, But I'm a Cheerleader. Joyland, Eternal Summer, Kokomo City, Never Back Down. Yeah, Dororo, The Wind Rises, Beyond the Infinite, 2 minutes, I Cannot Reach You, Chikurui, I said that almost in French, Shikurui, Dead Frenzy, Swing Girls. So that was the films, and I also watched Samurai Champloo, which was really good anime. Um, then I just finished watching Gilmore Girls, beautiful. I watched the OC once all the way through, and then I also rewatched the fourth season. Then I watched Attack on Titan twice. I watched Sopranos once. I watched Dexter almost all the way through, although I didn't finish the last season or the, and I didn't rewatch the sequel series. But yeah, most of it I watched this year again. Then I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got into like third season, like maybe sixth episode, but then I stopped watching it. Again, I like the show, but I just couldn't kind of fully get hooked to it, which will make Peaches so sad, and he will regret ever talking to me that I couldn't finish the show. But I promise that I will someday in the future finish the show because I did like it, but I just didn't kind of fully get hooked to it, and it just wasn't on the same level to OC and things like that to me. But anyway, um, I'll end this video now, and thanks for all the support. hopefully this year will be decent again. Now I feel way better just due to that great, beautiful conversation. So yeah, life can be made so much better by simple things sometimes. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this film. Hopefully you got some recommendations. And I might have missed some TV shows, but maybe I'm not quite sure. Like I'm pretty sure I remember to talk about all of them that I watched, but maybe I forgot something. Oh, and I watched Vinland Saga. I didn't mention that, but yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.